No matter if you're a solo indie game developer, work in a small team on a small project, or work on a massive project in Unity with a multi-million-dollar company, it doesn't matter. Everyone that is working in game dev should use good tools. Tools can make it so you can easily create more content, avoid mistakes, so on and so forth. In this video, I will be covering some of the assets that we, ByteMe, use in our project and that we absolutely love. Let's get started. First of all, there's a Black Friday sale going on in the Unity Asset Store right now. This is a great moment to get your assets. All the assets we will feature, you can find a link for them down below. It's an affiliate link, you don't pay anything, we just get a small kickback if you do decide to purchase something. Also handy to know is there are flash deals every 12 hours. Different assets go on bigger sales, so 70% or 60% or whatever, but these are only temporary. So if you are interested, you can take a look ahead on when they start, so you can easily grab the assets you like. Now, the first tool we want to cover is called Odin. What Odin basically is it's a tool to create tools for yourself. What do I mean by that? It's an editor extension where you can assign attributes to create custom editors. It's very intuitive, a lot better than the default Unity system, honestly. But what's really great about this is, okay, you have the serializer, which is dope because yeah, you can now serialize dictionaries properly. But the coolest part is the custom editors by far. This is also something we use in Sons of Everjade. An example of this would be we have gear and artifacts. So the artifacts and gear, they have to be created. We use scriptable objects for the stats and so on. And we have a custom editor made with Odin, so we can easily create those. That way we have the naming conventions get respected. We make sure everything is provided correctly. We automatically move files to the correct folder. So it's all consistent across the board. What it also helps you do is it basically gives you a cleaner inspector because you can easily say like only show this if this is true and so on and so forth. You can add things like, hey, this field is required. So if it's not there, you can say like, hey, this is not okay. So in summary, this is basically the tool to help you create tools yourself. If there is any asset I would import in a new Unity project, this would probably be it. If I only had to pick one, I really love it. Next up is i2 localization. So for those who don't know, when we made Forge Industry, our game, we used our own localization system, basically. I wrote it and it worked. It was actually pretty okay. The downside is it didn't have a lot of like user-friendly features, but that all changes in i2 localization. Like the biggest feature of them all is probably that it's Google Docs support. So for example, if Marnix is like adding new stories to our lore and I'm working on a new item, both of us can like go to a shared Google Doc, edit the settings, and we can import it, and there are never merge conflicts because, well, you basically have one single source of truth. It's also very easy to add multiple languages even down the road. So for example, if you wanted to add a language now, it's possible. It also has some other cool features like saying, hey, this translation is not being used. Are you sure you don't want to use it? Things like that. Next up is the A-Star Pathfinding project. So there are two versions of it asset. Let's get it out of the way. Firstly, there's a free one and there's the paid one that you can see here. If you only need basic pathfinding, you can use a free one. It's pretty amazing, especially for free. And if you need more advanced use cases, there's a pro one. What's really cool about this one is, first of all, it's very easily to use because it uses colliders to detect where an object can or cannot walk. Using layer mask, you can say, for example, these are obstacles, these aren't. So that's pretty good. It's also pretty good optimized, especially in the pro version. The pro version uses multiple threads, while I think in the free one you're limited to one thread. But honestly, unless you're doing a whole lot of navigation, the free one is good to go. And what's really cool also is that it works at runtime. So for example, if you're procedurally generating a world, you can easily add navigation to it down the line. And it's like one command, I think, to generate a new path, so to say. The other great thing about it is it's a lot more stable than Unity NavMesh. It wouldn't be the first time that I had an agent on a Unity NavMesh standing on one, saying it is on one, it isn't on one, or the other way around. Like sometimes it's just wonky. I don't know if that's just me, but I wouldn't use Unity NavMesh in production viable code. Next up is LeanTween. Yes, you see that right. It's a free asset we're covering. If you're making a game, honestly, I think you should always use a tweening library. We just so happen to use LeanTween. LeanTween is, first of all, free. I mean, come on, awesome. You should try it out, even if you don't think you will ever use it. But why do we use LeanTween? Well, it's quick and easy to use. Like, I know there are others like DoTween and whatever. I'm sure they are great as well. But what I really like about LeanTween is, of course, that it's free, but also like it's easily chained. So you can do a lot of actions in one command. The documentation is pretty decent, and this way, tweening in general is a very good way to add more pop and feel to your game, especially in UI. What do I mean by that? For example, if you're opening an option panel, you can now have it like from small to big, like fade it in or whatever, like give a lot more of a polished look to your game. So if you're a UI heavy game, or even if you aren't and just want to add a bit of polish to your UI, tweening a lot or everything in your game is not weird. Like, just give it a try. We just talked about feel and polish and pop in your game, whatever. Brings us to the next asset, which is called feel. And it's no false advertising here, guys. It's just a really great way to add more feel to your game. So how does this work? Usually, if you wouldn't use this asset, you would like write 50 lines of code saying, I want to play this particle system, this sound effect, this should become this color, so on and so forth, like screen shake, whatever. But now you basically have a wrapper, or that's at least how I call it, and it's like a feedback clause. And once you implement that, you can just say play feedback, and anyone, they don't have to code to add more feedbacks. For example, I make a weapon and I give it to Marnix, he has a feedback. Marnix can now easily assign a sound effect to it, make it so that there's an explosion when it happens, or remove it once again, all without writing a single line of code. So it's very artist friendly. This is a really good way to add more feel to your game. It really is no false advertising here. And last but definitely not least is Synty Studios. I know they're not really tools or however you want to call it, but if you're a programmer and you struggle with art, these are probably one of the best options for you out there. What's really great about them is, first of all, they're really competitively priced. Like, you get a lot for your money, a lot of assets. What's also really great is they have a very coherent style across all their packs. So, for example, just something random, I have here the Polygon Dungeon Realm and also Polygon Fantasy Kingdom. I can mix and match those two and it wouldn't look out of place. So it's really cool. They also have a lot of different genres, like you can see the Cyber City, Street Racer, Dungeon Realms, very different genres. The last thing that I'd say that is in their advantage is they are often pretty modular. So for example, in the Fantasy Kingdom one, I think there are like different walls and so on, and you can use those walls to create your own houses. So this way you can at least make the game a bit of your own. Do note that if you're going this route, the characters are pretty recognizable. So either create a cool shader so you hide a bit of it, or just create your own characters. That's also an option. If you are going the Synty route, the characters are the thing I would watch out for the most, because the rest of the assets blend in with everything basically. And that about wraps it up for this video. These are some of the tools that we use almost every single day, and honestly, I don't really want to work without them anymore. If you have any tools that we missed and you think are great, do let us know in the comments. We would love to learn more, and I mean, it's a Black Friday sale. Now is the best time for you to tell us. Another thing is, we usually make different content than this, but if you liked it, you can still like and subscribe. We make 3 videos a week, so if you subscribe, you will get notified by all of our uploads. We vary from conventions, tips about game dev, now sales apparently, and who knows what we might do next. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.